Hey folks, a rather impromptu vlog here. Just a quick note before I start. Thank you so much for keeping in touch with the top 100 videos. I would love to see all those videos go to past 10,000 views. Chances are I suspect only a couple of them will, but still it'd be nice to get the viewership up on those because they take a lot of effort, a lot of editing time. But you guys have been very good with your feedback on those. You've been very positive. You've contributed to the comment section, you know, like talking to me about your tastes, or also advising other people who want to get in on this and maybe had other options. So fantastic response from you guys. You know, the top 100 is now done, you know, at least until August next year when I'll probably have to do it again. But, you know, at least I can get on with some reviews, some other videos, and also some actual top 10 lists, you know, the normal top 10 lists that I normally do, because I've got a bit of a backlog on those with the top 100 being done. But I just wanted to do this little vlog video to basically go through the ones that didn't quite make the list. So I've just got my phone here with the Google Drive spreadsheet on, and essentially I'm just going to very quickly go through in order from the very lowest up to 101 games that fell off the list, and maybe just give a very brief description of why they probably fell off the list. I mean, bear in mind, all these games I like. You know, it's just that when I talked about the top of the top 100 being like games I rate a 10, and then as you get about halfway down, they become 9s, and then as you get to the very bottom, they become 8s. You know, I still love those games, but as you get into these ones, you're more talking 8s for the most part, and then 7s as you get to the bottom. You know, none of these games I rate a 6. You know, these games are, you know, if I rate a game a 6, it's not going to be in my top 200 games. You know, it's not even probably even be in my top 300 games, because there's a lot of games I can rate a 7, believe me. But to really like impress me with 8, 9s and 10s, that takes a bit more effort, and that's what the top 100 is for. So I'm just going to scroll all the way down here. 183 games I ranked on that tool. So yeah, there was quite a lot of games I had to sift through and try and decide between. But you know, that's the way it is, so let's carry on. 183 Hanabi. Great little game co-op. You know, I've played it with an ex-girlfriend on camping trips before. I've just kind of lost my way with it. It's, you know, I've played it to death. I'm kind of done with it, but I still recommend it as a good little co-op. 182 to Crypto. Cool little party game, team versus team. It's a little bit fiddly to get the rules across to some people, but when you play it with people who know what they're doing, it's a good fun party game. 181 Arion. This is one of the Omniverse games down there. It borrows the kind of Yahtzee dice mechanic, but throws an interesting twist on it with plenty of mini expansions to keep it fresh. Solid entry in that universe. 180 Passing Through Petra. This one is probably going to slip further down. I'm starting to get over that honeymoon period of it. But it's an interesting little game where you're manipulating these tiles on your board in order to make combos, and you know, you need a certain amount of tiles with different colors in order to influence trading with marketeers of another color. It's very Yuri, it's a very dry theme, but I recommend giving it a try, but it's not one that I think is going to stand the test of time. 179 Dimension, my little puzzle game up here. I really like it. It's a simple little build a ball pyramid game. You know, you've got cards that restrict what you can do. It's done in against the clock. It's a nice, simple puzzle game, but it gets a good laugh when I play it. 178 Ex Libri. I have certainly sort of down to my opinion on a little bit. I mean, it's a cool game where you're building up this fantastical library, and you've got the, you know, these books with funny titles on, looks gorgeous, the locations all with different abilities and that. The problem with this game is, one, there's a balance issue with some of the characters, and secondly, the complexity ramps up quite a significant amount with this game, in that when you're teaching new players, they just freeze up with all those location abilities, and if you play this with 4 players, God help you. So I still like it. I think the solo mode's better than the multiplayer, but you know, it's a cool game, but it has since fallen out of my collection. 177 Ethnos. Again, this one has gone down for me a bit, mainly because of its look. It really does look ugly as all get out. It is no longer part of my collection. It used to be about here on my shelf. It is now gone. I still give it respect. It's a nice, simple area control gateway level game, but there is a lot of luck to draw in those cards. I mean, it is very much a luck-filled game, because you could draw exactly what you need, or you might draw not what you need, and that tends to influence the winner more than I would care to sort of want to play it too often for. But it is simple, it is quick, it is light, but oh god, yeah, they really could have just made it look better. 176 to Survive Escape from Atlantis, still over there. It's a quality game as long as you play it with people who don't just gang up on you. but it is mean as all get out, hunting around, getting your guys off the island, and we like trying to escape sharks and sea monsters and whales. It's just good laugh out loud fun. Nostalgic from my childhood. I played Escape from Atlantis before. This is the 30th anniversary reprint, still solid to this day. 175 Patchwork, the 2-player game with Rosenberg, solid 2-player. It does the job of doing that sort of polyomino style game with a little bit of a twist in it. I still really like it, even though I've got games like Baron Park and that I prefer. 174 Vegas Showdown. It's recent in my collection over there. It's a simple bidding game where you're building up a casino. You've got a little bit of a map going on, and the bidding against other players is very back and forth. But if anything's holding this back, it's just its looks and its component quality are just bad, really bad. But I still enjoy it. I mean, it's still like a good game. 173 One Night Ultimate Werewolf used to be really high in my top 100. Now I'm just kind of gotten over it now. I mean, these games are like a dime a dozen when it comes to these, like, here's some funky rolls, here's a very quick thing. I mean, everyone's going mad for this Blood on the Clock Tower thing now, and I'm just like, really? It's the same thing as One Night Ultimate Werewolf, just with some extra rolls and a book and overpriced. Why is everyone gunning for it? I have no idea, but, I still like One Night Ultimate Werewolf, but it's just gone down over time. 172 Concept. This is a cool game, cool little puzzle game. I don't play it for the scoring, even though I know some people who do. Why? But I like this one. You're trying to give people clues towards a particular word or phrase based on pictorial representations. Really cool concept. Yeah, but it's one of those things that you can just play as an activity as long as you want while you're waiting for the next game to play. 171 Forbidden Desert. Where are you now these days? You're down there in the tin. Still my favourite of the Forbidden series. Sky was a letdown. Island is still good. Desert is that nice balance of gateway level while being challenging and variable enough. Still a solid gateway game. 170 Dragon's Gold. It's somewhere on my shelf down there, I believe. I think I've still got it. It's a negotiation game where you're dividing up loot from these dragons, but you have a minute to come up with an agreement, and you have no future deals or anything. You just have to decide how are we splitting these gems, and it is pure negotiation and a good laugh. It's just, you can get some hilarious conversations with people in this one. Don't play it with angry people, though. 169 Tack. Where's Tack? Up there. Can you see it yet? Tack. This is a really cool, clever 2-player abstract game, and I do like these 2-player abstract games. This one has you building, I'm trying to remember exactly, it's been a while, but you're building slabs on the board, and then you're trying to build like a bridge from one end to the other, but your opponent's doing the same, and you can block each other. It's really cool and really clever. I really like it. Tack. 168 Onirim 2nd edition. This one is mostly come down because I don't tend to play the card game version. I tend to play the app version because it's all that shuffling and shuffling and shuffling. But this is still probably my favorite. Or is it? No, it could be my second. We'll get onto that, baby. It could be my second favorite. We'll see. Out of the Omniverse games. But great solitaire game. Always have a good blast with it. So many expansions to keep it fresh. It's just a neat little design. 167 Forense. Forense is an interesting Euro game where you're collecting these coloured bricks in order to build these towers and get high up on the towers for victory points. It uses a small world style card selection system where you put bricks on the cards if you want to skip them, and there's bad ones in there as well. But it looks good, it plays really smoothly, it's not gateway level, it's kind of next step. But it's just a neat looking game, and it's cool to have these little coloured bricks that you build the physical towers out of. 166 Carcassonne. I still like Carcassonne with its various expansions. Probably base set I'm a little bit done with, but throw in some expansions, play South Seas or something like that. Somebody please give me a copy of Carcassonne in the City. I really want one, but I think the chances of me finding that are kind of slim. But Carcassonne is still a solid gateway game. I like Tile Lane. I love how you build this map in front of you. It's still solid to this day, and it's been out since 2000. Blimey. See, Cult of the Old, maybe. Oh, lost my place. 165 Dice Town. Dice Town is one of those like dice chucker games where you roll dice, all poker symbols, and you're trying to get the best hand. And with these poker dice, you try to get queens, kings, jacks, full flush, royal flush, that kind of thing. And as you get them, you trigger certain locations to get money, gold nuggets, and property cards. And it's just straight up rinse, repeat. Chucking the dice, deciding which ones you want to keep, whether you want to pay to keep more, and you're trying to outbid each other on these locations. Fits the theme of a Western so well with the poker thing, and it's just a nice light dice chucker. Number 164, Shadows of a Camelot. Shadows of a Camelot is still fun. I just haven't played it in a long time. It's supposedly gateway level, but I don't know. There's quite a lot you have to teach people in it. There's the meta game with it, which new players will not get. But when somebody wants to play it with about 6 or 7 people and, they know what they're doing, I'm kind of like, yeah, I'd rather play this over Battlestar Galactica because it's a darn sight shorter. But it's still a solid, well-produced game. It is on my shelf still somewhere. I'm not entirely sure where, though. I am confident it is on my shelf. I just can't, for the life of me, pick its current location, which is kind of fun and bizarre. Where have you gone? Oh well, not going to spend ages doing it now, but it's somewhere in my collection, I believe. 163 Kahuna. This is a recent 2-player I played from the Cosmos 2-player line. This is mean as all get out to your opponent, but it's a very simple area control game. You're playing cards to put these bridges between islands. Once you get the majority, you control the island, but you can knock out other people's bridges and cause chain reactions that cause you to gain several islands in a go. It is straight up simple card draw and area control, but my god, it's mean as all get out. 162, Airlines Europe. Airlines Europe is right behind me, I think. Surely it's around here somewhere. Oh, it's down there on the floor. This is probably as heavy as I want to go for any stock market trading game, but this kind of is a cross between Ticket to Ride and stock trading, where you're putting these planes on a map in order to, connect up routes on the board, but you're also investing in the airline companies themselves, and the more that they build up on the board, the more they're worth. You've got free scoring phases. It's a lightweight stock market trading game, and I hate the heavy ones, the ones that are just too much like real life, but these light ones like this one and Stockpile, which I kickstarted recently, that's the kind of level of stock market trading I kind of like. 161, Otis. Otis is still on my collection down there. This is not particularly thematic at all, but it's a cool little puzzle game where you have these divers and they're going to different levels to collect cubes effectively for points. But your divers have to resurface, so it's this cool little puzzle manipulating where the divers come in and out, how long do they stay down, when do they have to resurface, can they get back down quickly enough. It's a fairly, it's not quite middleweight, I'd say it's still light, but it's quite a cool puzzle to think, right, I need that diver at this level for now, he can get these cubes, then he goes back up, can I use this diver for then? And everybody's doing their own little puzzle. It's a little multiplayer solitaire, but it's a cool game nonetheless. 160, Chakra. Chakra, this nice little gem here, a little hidden gem I found at the expo. This is a cool game where you are getting these little colored gems and you're trying to harmonize your chakra by putting 3 of the same color in these various pods, and there's a whole tree of the things. But you have to put the gems in at the top or directly into a pod, and you have to manipulate them by moving them up and down the various like spaces, but obviously you can only have 1 gem in a space, and if they're not all 3 the same color, then they're not harmonized. You've only got so many actions you can use. There's hidden scoring. It's a neat little hidden gem, and it... Okay, I'm inadvertently doing bad puns today. But if you get a chance to try it, it's from Blam, the same people who did Celestia, next door to here. Honestly, give it a try. I think it's going to be underrated. 159, Escape from the Aliens in Outer Space. Where have you gone, of all things? You're definitely around here somewhere. Maybe you've gone into the other room. Oh no, there you are. Big solid black box, and this is a really cool party style hidden movement game. Aliens versus humans. The humans are just trying to get out, they don't care about each other, and everybody's writing down on a pad, flipping a card, telling the truth or lies about where they are, and it's just one of those scary things of, where's the alien? Where's the alien? It's a cool one. I really like it. 158, Unusual Suspects. This is a very controversial party game where you are deciding, one person knows who the murderer is, or the convict is, and everybody else is trying to eliminate all the other innocent parties based on a simple question that is given to them and nothing but mug shots. I say controversial because you are literally deciding between these people purely by their facial and exterior appearances. So if you are gonna be taking that a little bit too seriously, or you might be easily offended by it, I suggest you stay away from this game. But if you can look past that, or if you're comfortable with that, then this is a hilarious laugh, where somebody's like, this person would never cycle to the gym, and then you look at this one and you go, well, that guy looks like he weighs about 20 stone, and blatantly he doesn't, and like I say, it's full of very controversial comments like that, and like I say, I can't talk, big fat belly down here, but it's a cool fun party game, but not for everybody. 157 Jaipur or Jaipur or Jaipur. I think somebody actually told me it was pronounced Jaipur. Could be wrong, but I was talking to an Indian girl recently, and I talked about the game, and she said it was something like Jaipur or Jaipur or something like that. I mean, that was how you pronounced it in India. I don't know, but this is a solid two-player trading game. It's very simple. You're just trying to collect sets of cards, trade them in for points. The earlier you do it, the more they're worth, but you've got the central market, and obviously you want to be careful what you trade there because your opponent's dealing with the same market. Very simple, but looks great in its new second edition with Vincent Dutrait's artwork. Solid. This is like a staple, essential gateway game. 156 Smash Up, and this one is going down a bit. I mean, it's down there, I've got a lot of it, but I've had no desire to buy any more packs for it because it's not getting played enough and there's no solo mode to get it to the table often. I still like the game, so I'm still going to hang on to it, but I'm probably done with buying expansions now because they're just constantly coming out with new stuff, and the more bloated it gets, the worse it's going to get. So, you know, we've already had that problem with the Eldritch Horrors and that. So I'm going to sort of just sit tight on my Smash Up for now. You know, I still enjoy it, still like it, but yeah, it's difficulty to get out. The fact that it doesn't scale well with players does hurt its ability to get played, but still enjoy it. It's a great sort of tic-tac little card game. 155 Spyfall, I don't care which edition you have, they're all the same really. I suppose DC has the problem of not being very easy to pick up for those who aren't into DC, but the other two Spyfalls are fine. It's a quick little 8-minute party game where one person doesn't know where they are, everybody else knows the location, and everyone's asking each other questions to decide, you know, which one of you doesn't know where we are at the moment. You know, it sounds weird, obviously it's not thematic in any way, but it's a very fun 8-minute party game that you can just rinse, repeat constantly, great laughs. 154, this is my choice pandemic game. You know, I like the legacies, but I can't really rank legacy games because once you're done with them, they're done. But this is my favorite of the non-legacy pandemic games, and that is Iberia. Iberia looks the part, is still simple enough that you could play it with brand new people to Pandemic, but you can throw in some of the like advanced mode stuff, you know, the hospital mode, in order to make it more of a gamer thing. But it just feels a bit more flexible because you've got this big island, you know, of Iberia and that to go around, but then you can sail around the edges, you can build railroads to make movement a bit more flexible. I don't know, just something about it just clicks with me more than the other pandemics. I really like the roles in this one as well. I think the roles are more interesting, the other ones feel a bit more generic. And as all the other spin-offs have come out, like Rise of Rome and Rising Tide and all that, I'm not as big a fan of them. They just like, I'm kind of getting sick and tired of this whole cash grab thing with Pandemic, but this is the one I keep. This is my favorite. 153, Not Alone. This is, right down there, an interesting kind of bluffing hidden game in a sense. I mean, it's really hard. It's all versus one. This alien is trying to devour you all, and he's trying to seek out which one of these locations have you gone to? Where have you gone? He's got nasty effects. You've got some backup like artifacts to send up against him, but it's very much about having a limited hand of cards and deciding, if I go to location 5, if I go to there, I don't think he's going to think I'm there, but hang on a minute, everybody else has played their free, so he probably won't go for free just to cap me. So maybe if I'll go to free now, I can hide away from him, and it's just getting inside the alien's head, and the alien's trying to figure out where everyone else is going. It's great, it's a mind, but it's a solid little game. 152, Alien Frontiers. Alien Frontiers. Everybody rabbits on about Marco Polo, don't like it, it's imbalanced, boring theme, don't care. But, you know, Alien Frontiers is the one that I think got it right first. You know, it's a cool, interesting theme, even though it's abstracted for dice placement. But it looks like retro sci-fi with the whole thing of everything looking a bit like the Jetsons, which I quite like. And, you know, it's simple. Place dice on various areas to get resources in order to build colonies, to put them on the central planet, and then it's an area control thing for points and the, you know, the special abilities. Scores are tight, the expansion factions gives you unique boards, looks great, it's simple to play. Sorry, I don't care. You know, Kingsburg has kind of fallen off my list. I know the lack of any theme in that is kind of a bit boring for me now, and I don't like Marco Polo. Sorry, Alien Frontiers just did it better. 151, Automobiles. Automobiles is right there. Was on my top 100. It's kind of faded as it's a very difficult one to get to the table because it's not the easiest racing game to get into. And I've got stuff like Snowtails and Downforce, which were on my top 100 already. I believe they were anyway. I'm pretty sure Downforce was. But, you know, those two are solid, easy racing games, whereas Automobiles is a bit more of a gamer's racing game, where you're bag building to do movement and do various things with your car. It's a cool concept, and I really do enjoy it. especially with the expansion, it adds in more cards and a racing Grand Prix mode and some cool maps. But yeah, it's harder to get to the table compared to other racing games. 150, Castles of Maddening Ludwig. I fear this one's going to start dropping at some point. It might even leave my collection. Suburbia is a better out of the two. They're very similar, but Suburbia I prefer. I mean, I kickstarted the collector's edition, which could see it rise up in my charts soon. But Castles of Maddening Ludwig is just a fiddly one to get to the table. You know, you've got to teach people it, which takes a bit of a faff. Setting it up is a pain. I mean, you've got all the different piles of buildings. You've only got certain amounts of each one. It's just, oh my god, how do I set this game up again? And then people AP a lot in this because of the master builder thing. And it's just like, come on, just make a decision. But people will just be like, maybe I should press that at 12. No, 11. Maybe I could do that one at 10. That one at 11. It's like, oh, get on with it. You know, and it does, you know, hamper its enjoyment a little bit. But it's still a solid game overall. 149, a cool little hidden gem of mine, Harvest Dice. This is my cherry-picked roll and write game. And it's, you know, it's one of those roll and writes that actually has interaction with opponents, because you're drafting dice from the middle and you can see clearly what dice other people want. So you know which dice to take to better yourself, but also to hinder them. And that creates a level of interaction that roll and write games just can't do these days. Ganstrom Clever and Welcome To, and you know, all of these roll and writes, they just don't have any player interaction, and that just makes them all samey. I've not tried Cartographers though. I want to try that one. I want to see what that's like. And I do quite like the solo mode. I like both modes, but the solo, especially in the Imperial Settlers roll and write. But again, not a lot of player interaction. This one does though, and it's still my cherry-picked roll and write. 148, Potion Explosion. Yes, this cool little game, which I prefer to Gizmos really, because I think Gizmos just adds a bit too much on it for a gateway level. Well, actually it does, too much on it for it, but with this one, very simple. You've just got to put the beads on potions. You can drink them in order to get special effects. But at the end of the day, it's just take them from, you know, I can't remember, it's like Candy Crushes that it was based on. But, you know, you take these coloured beads out and it causes chain reactions that allows you to take more beads. You put them on your potions, match your colours, job done. Just nice and simple, but my god does it burn my brain because I'm not very good at picking out those chain reaction effects. But I still really enjoy this one. My number 147, Kanagawa. This is a very simple game from Yellow where you're putting cards on the top of a row as an art canvas and below as a studio for accessories and that. And basically you're manipulating these little paint pots around in order to have the colours available to paint the pictures. But you've got different things on the pictures like kites and lanterns and, you know, people and buildings, etc. And the more you collect in sets, you collect these little diplomas for endgame scoring. Very simple push your luck / drafting game that's, like I say, it's nice to play every once in a while, but it's just that nice little zen game that looks nice in a small box and plays very simply. It's a gateway game. Okay. 146, Hive Mind. Hive Mind has definitely been getting a lot of plays lately because, you know, people are like, oh, I just need 45 minutes to kill and we need something that anybody can play. Well, Hive Mind it is. This is a straight up easy party game, which is the opposite of categories. There's no winner, there's only a loser or losers, and you're basically trying to stay in the hive, but you fall through the hive by not thinking like the other players. You read out a card like, you know, 5 things that you would have in your pocket, and everybody writes down 5 things. You read out who's got what, and the more you are in sync with other players, the more likely you will stay in the hive, and the more different you are, the more you'll get kicked, the more likely you will get kicked out first. It's a very simple game, but my god, it has a barrel of laughs as everybody sort of reads out their answers and they think that it's so good and they go, oh yes, totally money. What, are you serious? As everybody like writes down something different or just forgot their point and they're constantly cursing. It just generates a lot of banter. Great. It feels like one of those ones you would have in the mainstream 80s. Like, it feels like something I would have played years ago, but it just works. Very nice, very cool looking. 145 is Biblios. Biblios is around here somewhere. Not entirely sure where, but it's a cool bidding game where you have these cards. You're just, I mean, the theme makes no sense, but you're essentially trying to first, you know, you're drafting from a deck and you're choosing which cards you want to keep, which one you want to put for auction and one to give to other players. And then in the second half of the game, you auction off all those other cards and you're trying to collect sets of, you know, cards in a particular set in order to win a certain amount of points. But the points for each set chop and change throughout the game. So you might have a ton of cards for one set and it's only worth 2 points. but you might be able to get away with only about 2 or 3 cards for a set, and it suddenly becomes worth 5 or 6. It's a cool little game, very easy to play, very quick, but I really enjoy this one. This is kind of what I like in bidding and auction games, you know, nice, quick, frequent, works for me. 144, paperback. I like word games. I think word games are great, particularly as I find them very challenging because my vocabulary is not particularly great, but also my ability to sort out jumbled up words or spell out of a bunch of letters is actually pretty bad, I find. I'm not as great with words. I'm much better with numbers. And the cool thing with this is that it combines deck building with a word game. It's a cool concept, solo or solo or 2 or 3 player. Any more and I'm kind of like, oh god, the downtime. But it's very simple. You know, I can do works on the deck building side, whereas other people might be able to spell better. Cool concept. 143, Carson City, the big Euro-Western Carson City. Mean as all get out, but you've got different powers that you can use. It's a simple worker placement, but you've got this big map where you're building up a sort of old West-style town with nomad settlements and inns and saloons and mines and mountains, that kind of thing. But the worker placement's great because just because somebody went to that space doesn't mean you can't go there either. You just gotta shoot each other out, you know, shoot each other out of it, you know, and have a duel. It can really be mean, but I don't know, theme-wise, it's rich. It's a rich thematic Euro, and that's what I like. If anything hurts this for me in the top 100, it's just because it's quite a bit to teach and quite a bit involved for what it is. It's not quite as streamlined as other games, but I still really like this one. 142, bang the dice game up there. Quality dice Yahtzee game, you know, you roll dice, get a couple of re-rolls, get the symbols, and then you're trying to work out who the outlaws are, or if you're the outlaws, you're trying to kill the sheriff. Very simple, but it's hidden rolls. You know, they don't stay hidden for that long, but it causes good banter. Very simple, very quick. Bang the dice game. 141, and this one gets all the buzz at the moment. Everyone goes on about Gaia Project. I like Gaia Project. It's still on my shelf over there. I sold Terra Mystica because of a Gaia Project, but it's hurting and it's falling because setup in the rules are very tedious and fiddly. You know, I've got an insert for it which helps with the setup, but again, you still got to think, right, hang on, people need this, that needs that, how many tiles do I need for this, right? And then the rules for like going on to different planets and that, there's just a lot of complexities in this game which makes it hard to teach to new people, not to mention hard for me to remember the rules on it. On top of that, because it's got no theme whatsoever, I find myself going, right, well, I need a heavyweight Euro game for tonight. And I've got Lacerders, and I've got other heavy Euro games that are more thematic that I will pull out before Gaia Project. Still enjoy it, but it's got a warning sign as to how long it's going to hang around in the collection if I can't get it to the table more often. You know, yeah, it's got no luck. That doesn't automatically make a great game. 142, like I say, 141, still enjoy it, alright? I still like it when I play it, but it is falling, and it's still falling. 140, Azul. Classic gateway game now. I mean, everybody knows what Azul is. I don't like the fact it's become a massive cash grab. I didn't like Stained Glass Window because that whole... It just increased the luck to a point where it was just too lucky. You know, you might have windows that are like 2 different colors and then you pull the tiles out and none of them are your color and you're screwed. You've got no way to get around it. The original Azul is the one I like best. It works great. It scales well, although I prefer to play it with 2 players because you've got more chance to really be mean to each other. But it still works 2, 3, 4 players. Simple, advanced side, don't mind. It just looks cool and is a very simple... It's one of those, again, essential gateway games. 139, Imhotep. Imhotep, solid gateway game as well. You're putting cubes on boats in order to put them onto these locations. They score in different ways, but you're fighting for spaces with other players, and other players can sail boats that they're not even on. It can be very mean. It is very tight, but my god, it's a good amount of fun. And the dual version is pretty sweet as well, actually. 138, Reykholt. People don't give this one that much buzz. I personally like it. It's a light Uri Rosenberg game. Can't you do light stuff now and again? But it still retains that farming aspect. You know, you've got greenhouses with vegetables and you're growing the vegetables to feed the tourists. And it's not a points game, it's a race. How far can you get around the tables on the outside of the board? Worker placement, very straightforward worker placement, scales well. It's just light, simple, but looks nice as well. It's a bit overpriced, but, you know, and it has a solo mode as well. In fact, I need to get that solo mode played. Maybe I'll do that on a future tabletop video, we'll see. But, you know, Reykholt is an underrated game, I think. You know, it's not perfect. You know, it is a light worker placement, but I like this one. I think people give it a little bit too little credit for me. 137 Dice City. Yep, there. This one, I like it more solo in 2 players. It hurts because it's hard to get it to the table with 3 and 4 because it just takes too long on the downtime, but I love the combo building in it with the expansions added as well. You've got all these different buildings and you're like, how am I going to build this? I could make these 2 rows really good. I could space them out. I could create some cool shenanigans with the blue buildings here, maybe some red buildings here. Am I going to go for trade ships? Am I going to go for the bandits? It's a really solid dice game, but with 3 or 4 players, the downtime just gets a little bit too long, and if anybody's got AP, I ban them from playing this game. But I like it solo, and it's cool as a 2-player game, and occasionally I'll play it 3-player. But it's a solid one, actually. I want to get it to the table at some point soon. Oh, cool. There's a lot of these, aren't there? 136 Dinosaur Island. That is somewhere down behind me, I believe. There's Dinosaur Island. Where's Dinosaur? There it is, right down there. This is the 2-player version of Dinosaur Island, and it's a pretty solid 2-player variant. I mean, you've still got that feel of building up a dinosaur park, and the dice drafting mechanic, which is done really well here. Specialists and different dinos and the various things you can go to. Very simple, but it's just a neat 2-player game that's like, you know what, I don't feel like getting the massive Dinosaur Island out right now. I want something a little bit simpler with the same theme. There you go, Dinosaur Island. Well, where have I got to now? 135 Camisado Max. You are, God knows where you are. Yeah, where are you actually? Camisado. I give up. But yeah, I give up. Camisado Max is a cool abstract game, very simple. Pillars, you gotta get one of your pillars to the opponent's side. Where you move your pillar, the colored space it's on, dictates which color pillar the opponent's allowed to move. That's it. They move forward and diagonal, can't move any other direction, and that's it. You just keep going back and forth until someone wins. Sounds really simple, but my God, it is a tense brain burner. Oh my God, but I just really like it. Looks cool on the board and it's so simple. It's one of those like 2-player abstract games that's simple to teach, hard to master. 134, yep, I was right. Onirim wasn't my favourite one of these. Sylveon is my favourite one, 134, and that's an unpopular opinion, I'll admit, but I really like the fact that you have this little drafting mechanic of building a deck before you start the game. You know, you're building up your deck of the various critters, and then it's a tower defense game, much like those like Plant vs. Zombie games or whatever they are, where you've got the different rows and this big fire elementals coming along, burning your trees and burning your forest, and you're trying to lay down defenses and waterfalls and that with all these different animal cards. It's a 2-phase game, but I just really like this one. Granted, it's a little bit more fiddly and definitely more time intensive than the other games, which I think is why it doesn't get as much buzz. Certainly I can see why people would prefer an Onirim, but this one I just find really good fun. I actually wouldn't mind trying it as a 2-player at some point. 133 San Juan 2nd edition. You're around here somewhere, I am positive. How am I losing all my games? I can't. I'm so bad at finding it. I need to like have a look at my collection and organize it at some point, but I really don't know how. But well, never mind. San Juan is people like Puerto Rico. Personally, I prefer San Juan. Simple, and it still retains that great feeling of those tiles where you're like, which role do I want to pick now? Are you going to pick that role? You're going to take builder at some point, so can I deal with that and maybe pick a different role? Will I have the resources to build? Do I have the stuff to produce? And the deck of cards is everything. I love multi-use cards. It's your money, it's your buildings, it's your resources, it's everything. Just this giant deck of cards. Simple, but effective. I really like this one. It's kind of like hovered around. I think it's going to stabilize around this position. 132 Quadropolis. I see it on clearance sales, and that makes me feel a bit sad, really, because this is a great gateway city building game. You know, you've got your central construction board, you put these architects of different numbers around it, and, you know, you choose based on the number on the architect, how many spaces is the tile you pick, but then you leave a pawn behind that decides, right, nobody else can go on that row or column until I move again. And it just creates a good amount of tension. You're like, oh, can I get the tile I want with the architects I got left? Oh, I gotta think. And that's in every round, but as you put them on your board, you're like, yep, nice, this is good. And then you get to the last round and you realize that maybe some forward planning was an idea. You know, it can really get tight for space. It's a solid game. The insert is fantastic. It's well produced. It's Days of Wonder. I hate the fact I see it on clearance. Honestly, I implore you. You see this on clearance for like £20 or less or something like that, which I think some of the prices are it's going for. Get this game before it goes out of print. 131 Keyflower, a big Euro game down there. One of the few Euro games that I'm like, you know what, 5 or 6 players, I'll play it. It seems pretty good. But it's one that I only want to play with a fair amount of players because the bidding aspect is more tighter there, but you've got more people to interact with on the various villages. But it's this cool, I mean, I don't normally like auction bidding games, but the bidding here is a bit different. It's more like area control with meeples, but the color of your meeple is relevant. You know, I've got 3 yellows. Does he have more yellows than me? Is he going to outbid me for this tile? You know, you've got all the different locations. You build up this cool village like Carcassonne style. You can get animals on it in an expansion, and you can use other people's locations. It's a very interactive Euro. And like I say, if it was a bit easier to learn and teach, it'd be probably higher, but I still really enjoy this one. And like I say, this is one of those games where I'm like, I shouldn't enjoy it, but this one just works with me. I think a lot of it comes down to having this visual map in front of you. It's just pleasant. 130, Werewords. Werewords, you're in the other room. This is 20 questions with the One Night Werewolf mechanic. I love this one. You just use your app, you program it in, and then, you know, some of you know the word, whether you're good and bad guys, and everybody's just asking 20 questions in order to, you know, 20 question style to figure out what the word is. And as a result, you just end up like going mad on these like ideas of like, we didn't get the word. Is that because the mayor was a werewolf or because we suck? You know, and if you get it right, the werewolves come out and go, okay, which one of you was the seer? One of you knew too much ahead of time, you know, and it's just very simple, very quick, because everybody knows how to play 20 questions. Solid game all round, you know, I really enjoy this one, Werewords. And before I continue on, I just need a little beverage. Mint tea, just what I need. Anyway, carrying on. 129 Raptor, great 2-player game of, you know, scientists versus dinosaurs. This asymmetrical sides, getting in your opponent's head with playing cards in order to say, right, if I play a low number, I'm going to get the action, but if I play a high number, I'm going to get more action points to do other moves. The scientists want to capture the baby raptors, the raptor wants to defend their babies, and it's just, it's a cool one of getting in your opponent's head with this nice little visual aspect, a fun little theme, just a nice 2-player game, and it seems to work quite well, although I haven't seen it played in a while. 128 Deus, which is down there. Deus is an underrated card tableau building game, probably because it doesn't look that great on the table with its weird map, but it's colourful and it's a simple game to play. You're moving around and controlling areas on this map, but you do so by playing these cards. And as you activate a card, not only do you activate that card, you also activate every other card in its colour column. So you build up these cool combos where like, okay, I'm not doing too well on the blue, so I'm only going to get basic actions here, but if I go on green, I'm going to get all this and this and this and this every time I trigger it. So it's just, like I said, cool combos. The expansion allows you to mix and match all the decks, so it's got a lot of variety now. It's a solid, underrated Euro game. 127 Cockroach Poker, or Kakalaka Poker Royal. Yep, where are you? You are definitely around here somewhere. Or did I take you to a game night? There you are. Love this bluffing game. I mean, it's one that's like Hive Mind. There's only a loser, no winner. But it's just cool. You just hand them a card and go, that is a stink bug. No, it's a bat. And, you know, people are passing it around, everybody's getting into it, everyone's just like making up, it's like, this guy's a lying toe rag, you know, that is a rat, clearly a rat, you know, it's a deflator mouse, you know, whatever you want. But I just love it. It's so simple, just fits in the box nicely, you know, kills 5-10 minutes with ease, caters for 5 to 6 players, which is always a hard count. Just love it. It's a great simple bluffer. 126 Spike. Spike in the other room is a cool, like I say, I don't enjoy a lot of pick up and deliver games, but this is the simplest one I do enjoy, and is a train game as well. Oh my gosh, shock horror. But this one is just a nice, pleasant game. It's got a Ticket to Ride aspect of collecting cards in order to play them and do routes, but it's a bit more varied than Ticket to Ride normally. But then you have these contracts with different goods that you're trying to get during the game, and also a particular route you're trying to make. But on top of that, you've also got interchanging prices with various goods on different cities. And every time you connect one, you get the money based on how valued it is. But these keep chopping and changing. You're like, should I go there before you go there? Because you're going to make that less expensive. I could go there for a quick $3 and money is points. It's not the looker. It could do with a bit of a cosmetic upgrade from R&R Games. But, you know, it's a solid little pick up and deliver game. Spike. 125 Bunny Kingdom. Bunny Kingdom is definitely over there. down there. It's a cool area control game, but with the drafting phase as well, with these cool cards with bunnies on them. You collect them and you build little forts and castles around, special resources, but you're basically trying to control big areas in the map. Nice and colourful, very pretty, has a lot of thinking with the drafting phase. You've got lots of cards you draft, so it's like a good frequent amount of drafting. And the area control, it does sort of get a little bit like to a halt when you're doing the scoring phase, and I've got no major desire to get the expansion, but maybe I'll get it at some point. But I like the base game as it is, solid Bunny Kingdom. 1, 2, 4, Telestrations, the Chinese whispers for drawing. Easy, nice, simple party game. You know, you draw it. Next player, they try to guess what it is. They write a word. Next player draws whatever that word is, goes on. You look at your pad and laugh out loud as to how stupid it gets, especially because I can't draw for toffee. So, solid party game. Everdell 1, 2, 3. I don't own this one, but I can play it often enough at the Dice Library, or I have friends who play it. This is a great little sort of tableau game of putting these little animal folk critters where you collect these cards, you put them out, create combos. Looks great with this giant tree on the board. I haven't played the expansion, but I would like to. And, you know, it's just a very nice, light, pleasant game. You know, the worker placement aspect is unique compared to a lot of others. You've got the different seasons where you get more workers as the game goes on. You've got different ways to score points. Artwork is beautiful. Components are great as well. I don't own it because I know too many people who have it, but, you know, it's a solid game. Good. Running out of breath, I've still got another 22 games to go. 1, 2, 2, Lords of Waterdeep. Lords of Waterdeep down there is still a great, I suppose, gateway level. Next step if you're throwing the expansion, but gateway on its own. Worker placement game set in the D&D universe. Yes, the theme could be just about anything, but what they do with this universe, I think, works quite well with the quests that you do and the fact that you're getting fighters and rogues and that. Very simple worker placement game, but just really elegant, really smooth, and looks the part on the table. 1, 2, 1, the Palaces of Carrara down there. Or the Palast von Carrara. I don't know how you pronounce it in German, but this is a hard to find Euro game where you're building up you're building buildings on different cities, but the cities have different requirements for what you can make the buildings out of in terms of color blocks. And a bit like Firenze, where you're trying to get different color blocks, but this has a pricing wheel where as you buy stuff, it turns round and blocks get cheaper or more expensive, and you're like, ooh, I really do need some red blocks, but they're a bit expensive at the moment. I could make do with some green, though, and get on cheaper city, and the green's pretty cheap. I can get them right now. There's cool combos to do. The buildings have different effects, and you choose when you score. That's what I really like. You choose when you want to score certain buildings. You know, when's the right time? Can you do it before someone else nicks it from you? And the endgame triggers are different. It's a solid Euro, and I wish it got an English reprint nowadays with even more cosmetic upgrades. It's a solid game. Number 120, Targi. Great two-player game from the Cosmos line. I think it was Cosmos, or Z-Man/Cosmos game. And it's a two-player game where you've got this grid of cards, and you basically put 2 pawns on the outside of this grid in order to intersect 2 cards you're going to take. But where you go blocks the opponent from going to certain places, and it is a very tight, tense, back and forth worker placement game for 2. Solid game. You really need to try this. I know it doesn't look much from the cover, and I know the theme is completely pasted on, but seriously, if you get a chance to try Targi, give it a try. 119, Newton in the other room. This is probably going to drop a bit over time, but I really like the mechanic where you're placing these cards down, and depending on how many of the symbols you've got, the action's more powerful. It's a point salad, the theme is completely pasted on, makes no difference whatsoever, but it's just one of those songs where you go, am I going to do this game? I'm going to focus on that. Ooh, cool bonus over here, I could grab that. You know, it's not too complicated, but it has a lot of options, and I do like a half-decent point salad when it's an elegant point salad at the end of the day. You know, Pulsar 2849, for example. 118, Lowlands. Lowlands, I think, is right behind me, I think. No, it's somewhere around here. Or maybe I moved it to the other room. But this is it's a game influenced by Uwe Rosenberg, but it's not by him. But it feels like one of his games where you're trying to hold back the flood from this dike while building up a big farm of sheep. And it's got an action selection mechanic, but you can get points from building up cool buildings in a sheep farm, or you can get points from trying to contribute more to the dike. But if you don't contribute at all, you could lose negative points as a result. It's a cool game where you got to mitigate 2 halves of the same coin, but it's a nice one, a different. It felt like a unique. It felt like giving me familiar concepts from a Euro worker placement game. Well, or Euro farming style game, but with a unique twist on it, and I respect that in games. Okay, 117 photosynthesis, great game down there, gateway level game, putting trees on this board. The sun goes around and gives you light points, which you can use to get more trees, seeds, plant more, but it's area control, and as your trees get bigger, they shadow others, so they don't get light points, but they're doing the same to you. It is tense, it is pretty mean, but it is simple and looks absolutely beautiful. It is an Instagrammer's wet dream when it's on the board. Honestly, lovely gateway game. 116 Forbidden Stars. Forbidden Stars is a solid game, but it's a long one. It's a heavy one. It's hard for me to get to the table, and the fact it's not getting expansions hurts it. But when I've got the rules in my head, and believe me, I've forgotten them all now, I'm going to have to relearn it. But when you play it, it is an epic length space war game, and definitely one to check out. But it's going to be hard to get hold of, and like I say, it will never see the light of day again. So I'm going to hang on to this copy, and I may only get to play it once a year, if that. You know, it could be a game I play rarely, but it's a solid space game, and therefore I still want to keep it. 115 Viral. This one didn't get enough buzz, but this is an Arcane Wonders Dice Tower Essentials game where you are viruses in a human host, human body, and you're trying to you're doing area control on the various organs. But you you play these cards in order to do various actions. It's mean as all get because you're just fighting over the organs with the other players. But if you get too above yourself, the doctors outside basically flush you out the system, and you got to start over. It looks colourful. It's very simple, but it just looks glorious on the table. In fact, I'm going out to Dice Cafe later for some games. I was going to test Deep Blue and Bosk. I might take Viral with me. I could learn the rules again pretty quick. I got a feeling to get this to the table, actually. Viral. Very good game. 114 Automania. Again, the cover and the look of it doesn't sell it, but it's a great, simple car building game. You know, you actually get to build cars on your first turn. You're constantly designing different bits of the car, like am I going to give it spoilers, more safety, more, you know, better exhaust, better steering, and you're selling to the US and the European market. One is more points, one is more money, but the demands for the customers keep changing, and you're trying to, am I going to sell now while the demand's like this, or am I going to plan ahead and just kit out my cars so that when demand becomes high for safety, suddenly I have all the safety cars. You're drafting from this grid of tiles in order to get, you're trying to make money. It's a very simple game, and it could use a serious reprint. I mean, a reprint of this doesn't have to be Kickstarter, but a reprint of this with better components and better artwork would really sell this game because it is underrated and needs to be tried. Oh, God, I'm dying here. So many games. Right, 113 Chaos in the Old World down there. Great area control game. Again, will not see the light of day, but again, there's a reprint. That's why it sells for so much. But you're controlling the different gods of Warhammer Fantasy, like Khorne and Sinesh and all that. And it's straight up mean area control as you're trying to dominate the various, like the land of Warhammer, effectively. But all the gods are asymmetrical and they function very differently, both in how they play and how they even win the game. Solid area control, looks the business. It's one that I wish I could get to the table more, but it's quite an involved game. It requires a bit of teaching, and to keep the balance, you kind of need to have the 4 players, 5 if you're including Skaven in the expansion. And if one person doesn't know what they're doing, it can really upset things. So it's a fragile game, but a solid one. 112 Broom Service, great gateway game. One of the gateway, next step I would say. But one of the few games by Alexander Pfister that I actually get behind. You know, his designs just don't really work with me, but I really do like his lighter stuff, like Isle of Skye and my top 100, but I like this one as well. This is a role selection game where you're picking a role, and if you are the only person who picked that role, you claim to be the strongest, you might be able to do a better action, or you can take the cowardly action, which is a bit lesser. But as you play it, you're like, is anybody else playing the Weather Witch? Anybody else playing it? I don't know. Am I the only one? I'm going to take the strong action. Fine. I'm the Weather Witch. Oh, you've got it. It creates moments like that. It's very tense, scales very well. With 2 to 5 players, it's a solid game. In fact, I mean, this could rise up over time and get into my top 100, but I mean, it's 112. It's a solid game. Yellow and Yanksy, or Yellow and Yankst, or whatever you pronounce it, over there. This is my replacement for Tigris and Euphrates. Still a great game, but this one has a few tweaks that I just prefer to Tigris and Euphrates. Straight up Euro abstract game, but it's very good, very strategic, looks nice on the table, and it's just an overall solid Euro. I haven't got it to the table in a while, though. I think that needs to change. Hang on. Am I looking at an old list here? I don't recall you being there. One moment, please. Oh, sorry about that. I had to just double check something, and I'm afraid you're just gonna have to put up with some noise outside. I haven't really got a choice on that matter, but yep, I need to get this done. So I'll just go through these quick. I had a slight scare there for a second where I was thinking, oh, hang on a minute, did I just make a mistake on my list? But nope, it's a false alarm. It was just kind of one of those things where I'm like, did I not say that on the list? And I just had to double check my findings, but nope, it's all good. So my number, where are we at? We're at 110. That is Wingspan. This is easily in my top 100 now, I think, to this day, because I've been playing it a lot lately. But Wingspan is a solid engine builder game. Yes, it's not deserving of all the hype and nonsense that it got, but I still really enjoy this game, and it's a solid one to boot. 109, Through the Ages. Yes, oh my god, I've actually got warmed up to Through the Ages, and a lot of that is down to the app. I mean, the 4th edition of it is still good, but I always thought the tabletop version was too long, but I'd still play it. But my god, the app is fantastic. I have played it on the Android a lot of times on travels lately, and it kills an hour stone dead without even realizing it. It just handles the bookkeeping for you, the expansion's coming out soon. This could rise up. Maybe it could hit my top 100 at some point. It's a solid game in its digital form, and I still count digital forms of games as well as their tabletop counterparts. 108, Just One down there, recent party game. It's a solid hit, very easy. It's co-op. You're just trying to allow somebody to guess a clue word, but you're writing down clues to help. And if you match with other players, they get taken out, and it just causes a good barrel of laughs. Very simple Spiel des Jahres winner, but a solid game. 107, Yinch. Yinch is around here somewhere. I think further down that way, maybe. And Yinch is or is it down there? I don't know. But Yinch is a cool 2-player abstract where you're putting these little tokens on and using these rings to move around, but you're trying to get 5 in a row 3 times. And as you move your ring over these pieces, they flip over to the opposing color. And so you're trying to find these moments where you can just cause these cool combos and chain reacts in order to get your 5 in a row. Very tense, very brain burny, but looks great. I love this one. This is my favorite of the Gift Project series by far. 106, Camelot 2nd Edition. Yes, the first Camelot I wasn't that much of a fan of, but this one I'm really warming up to. And the 2nd edition was produced so well. It had a better pyramid, it had nicer looking cards and camels and artwork. It was just a solid production. And as a result, I've played it more, and I get into it. It's a good, just happy, fun, social game, little racing game where, yes, there's a lot of luck, but you just don't care. It's a fun game where you're just looking at these camels hopping on top of each other. These cool tense finishes can happen now and again. Camels can go backwards. It just looks the part and does the part. You just have to go into it knowing that control is not your first priority. 105, Celestia, the one next to Chakra. Yes, still love this game. This is a solid, sort of bluffing game, push your luck, but you're sailing the ship to different islands and you want to stay on the ship as long as you possibly can. You have these cards for the hazards. You roll the dice to see what cards you need, but people have a chance to jump off the airship before you reveal if you can do it or not. And this causes great banter, good bluffing, a great push your luck mechanic. Looks beautiful with the ship as well. Oh, it's a solid game. I think it's topped and tailed between my top 100 and that. It could go back in there, who knows? But like I say, 105, who cares? 104, The Pillars of the Earth. One of my first Euro games that you can get. Oh my god, out of print now. I don't know if they're reprinting it, I've heard rumours. But this is a great worker placement game. It's almost gateway level. I mean, it's straightforward. Your builder comes out, you put them on a space, and you turn these resources in using these cards for points. Straight up Euro, but looks beautiful. And the mechanic where you draw the builder out of the bag, and if it comes out soon, it's like, oh, I can place it out now, but it's going to cost me a fortune. Maybe I'll leave it to wait, but then I won't get the space I need. Great mechanic, and it's not been copied at all. Why not? It's a solid mechanic. I bet there's too many people out there going, no, it's too lucky. I don't know. But honestly, Pillars of the Earth is solid. I still really enjoy this one. And that board, it still looks so good. 103, Colosseum. That's shifted somewhere around here. Probably further over that way. But Colosseum is this fun, like, it's definitely not Gateway. I mean, you got a bit of roll and move for a bit of luck in that, but there's a lot going on for this to be Gateway, because you've got all the different shows to put on. But you're just collecting the tokens of, like, lions and plants and chariots and that, trying to put on a show, and at the end of the game, you want to have put on the best show for points-wise. But it just, especially if you play it with the sense that you've got to describe what show it is you're putting on, it can just create some good fun moments. There's a little bit of trading, a little bit of roll and move, a bit of like forward planning. It's one of those thematic, fun Euros that you just play with a light heart and just go, you know what, this is a good laugh. 102, Sushi Go Party. I mean, I like Sushi Go fine. Sushi Go Party is the better version, but both are still great. And this one allows me to play with more players and to change the menu items. And it's it's a staple drafting game that you should have in your collection. I mean, if you're teaching people how to draft, then Villagers is a good idea. And that's further up the list, I think. In fact, Villagers just made my top 100. But in terms of, first game we're ever playing with drafting, Sushi Go, and it works so well. Sushi Roll is alright, I like it, but it's kind of just too similar to Sushi Go already, apart from some differences with the dice. And it's like, I'll play Sushi Roll, but I'm happy enough just to have Sushi Go Party. It didn't feel like it needed to be made. And finally, 101. Sid Meier's Civilization, the board game. The Fantasy Flight version, still really good. It's probably going to take me a while to relearn the rules in it. It's a heavy game, it's a long game, and like I say, it's an abstracted version of the PC game, but it looks great. I've got both expansions, and when me and a couple of chosen mates play it, we have a blast with this interesting Civ game where you're still deciding whether I'm going to go for economic, whether I'm going to go for military or tech. People will follow different paths, and it's very much about efficiency, but you've got the asymmetrical powers, the different map layouts. It's a solid game, just doesn't store very well in its box. And, is definitely a bit of a, it takes quite a bit of rules thinking to get your head round. But solid game all round, just missed the 100. I really am out of breath. Oh, and I need to go to the gym in a minute as well. Oh, well, I'll finish off my mint tea and then I'll get over there. But, yeah, there you go. 100 games plus another 83. 183 games. This is quite a long vlog video, I admit, but it's a vlog one because I didn't want to bother with flashy intros or the lower third bars. I mean, can you imagine if I tried to do those lower third bars in the bottom corner for 83 games in one go? I would never get this video finished. I just wanted to give a very brief description about each game, why it's dropping, why it's still, like I say, I mean, if you're in the 125 top games, then they're still like 8 rated plus or something. They're still really solid games. I had a hard time picking my 100. But there are some that are dropping, they are falling, and there are reasons why. But some of these are literally just this low because, well, there's a ton of good games and there are games I prefer. So, like I say, hopefully if you were thinking, why is that not on your list? It's in your collection. Well, hopefully it was in that list. And if you see something on my shelf that I haven't mentioned in any of these videos, then chances are the reason I have it is because it's good for teaching other players. I mean, Bandu, for example. Bandu, I like it, but it would probably be a top 200 game, but as a dexterity game goes, it's a good one to teach. I got Fireball Island for the same reason. It's saying not every game in my collection is in my top 183, but I have some games that are good for teaching new players. So, anyway, I'm really running out of voice, so I'm going to get a move on. Thank you for watching the top 100. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for all your comments. By all means, comment in this video what you think of these 83 games. Should they have gone further up? Should they have, are they good to drop? Or should they be in the top 100 to replace other games? What are your thoughts? Let me know. Click subscribe. Sign up to my Twitter. More followers is always good. More viewers is appreciated. Sign up to the Patreon campaign because, I'm just about covering overheads at the moment. More support is great. Even if it's just $1 a month, it all goes to something, productive with this channel. And like I say, just thank you all. Anyway, back to normal routine now that the top 100's done. I'll see you on the next video. And remember, it's only a game. Take care, guys.